Hey, do you want to hear a real estate investment story? My name's Rich Crosby and I'm the trusted broker. So I got word from a neighbor of a house that I owned that another neighbor was getting tired of being a landlord. He had owned this piece of property with a manufactured home on it. It was like 2.5 acres. And he had been renting it to a gal for a few years. And she had some mental issues, some substance abuse issues. The place looked like it was a hoarder's house, and she had stopped making payments for rent. I understood, and I guess mom had been paying the rent, and then mom stopped paying the rent, and so I just heard that he was just over it, and I figured out how to get a hold of the guy, and I gave him a call. He lived about an hour and a half from me, and I introduced myself, let him know I was a neighbor, but also an investor, and I liked buying real estate. And I wondered if he was interested in selling the property. And he said, "That's just funny that you say that, because I'm just kind of tired of dealing with this place." And I said, "Let me come and meet with you." And he goes, "Wow, it's an hour and a half away. You're going to come, drive over and meet." I said, "Yeah, this is important. We have to actually sit down and talk." And he said, "Great." So he gave me his address, and I drove out to his place, and he was a really nice old guy. I think at the time he was in his late 70s, maybe early 80s, and he was married, and they had Social Security. They were both retired, Social Security, and this was some of the income that they relied on, the rent coming into this place. And he was interested in selling it for sure. And I asked him what he would want to sell it for, and I waited for his answer, because typically I kind of like to have people offer or say a price first. And then he said, "Well, why don't you just give me an offer?" And I threw out $145,000. I kind of did a little bit of research. That number really felt good for what needed to be done to the house. And he said, "Make it $165,000 and we have a deal." And I said, "Great." So I shook his hand. And then I said, "What do you feel about doing an owner finance? Because I could give you all of the money, but then you're going to have to pay capital gains on that. It's going to be a big chunk, and it'll probably throw your income over what you're allowed to make for your benefits for Social Security." And he said, "Yeah, I'd be interested in that." And so what I did is I asked him this next question, which was, how much money can you bring in each month without it affecting your Social Security? And so he thought about it for a second, and he said, "I think it's $1,400. I need to be under $1,400. So I said, "Okay, let me do a little bit of math." So I got out my paper and sat there, and I did some mathematical adjustments to some things, and I came up with an interest rate, a term, and a down payment, and a loan amount. And I said, "Okay, what if we did a 10-year note, amortized over 10 years, right? It's paid off in 10 years. I will give you, it was a $35,000 down payment. You're getting into a $130,000 loan and an interest rate at 4.5%. And that will give you just under $1,400 per month for 10 years. And he kind of thought about it, and he's like, "Yeah, that would work." And so right then and there, we did the deal. We actually wrote it out on just a regular old piece of paper. And I left there. He was very happy, because he was unloading this property that he didn't have to do anything else to. Like, literally, he could just walk away from it. I dealt with the renter. He's going to be getting a down payment amount of money that's going to be able to give him a new roof on his house that he currently owned. And then he was going to be getting a consistent paycheck every single month under an amount of money that would throw him over his threshold that he could make each month without messing with his Social Security. I left there with a property that was contiguous with another property that I owned, which is great. And it's an investment that I could capitalize on, long term. It was a win-win situation. This is how to be creative, right? I mean, these are the things that I really enjoy learning about. And I'd love to talk to you about how these things work. I mean, this is not rocket science. It's just understanding how money works, understanding how to put deals together, understanding how real estate functions as an investment, and also understanding how to talk to people and understand what they're trying to get to. Like, what are their pain points? What's the goals they're trying to reach? And then putting this whole deal together. It's a lot of fun. It's like a puzzle, I mean, it's like playing a game But at the end of the day, at the end of the game, everybody wins. It's great. And this is how you build wealth. It works for me, and I swear it'll work for you. You know, you might just be a little bit scared about it. I get it. You know, the unknown is a little scary. But these are the things that I can help you kind of demystify. You know, and let's just say that we talk, right? Let's say we give a half-hour conversation, simple, you know, over the phone. I understand what you're trying to do, where you're coming from. And when it's all done and you just say, look, this isn't for me, no harm, no foul. You might learn a little bit. You might learn when at some point it might be good for you. You might learn that, right? I learn a little bit about you. You might be able to teach me more than I ever thought that you'd be able to teach me. And that happens a lot, right? But let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So hit me up. Let's get on the calendar. Let's have a conversation that could change the direction that your life is going in. Wouldn't that be amazing? Thanks for talking to me.